Hi everyone who sees us here or see us live on the live stream on Hangouts on Air. This is Ifat from G+ Decoded, and Brock and Nando and Rebecca. And today we're going to talk about working local, actually marketing your business locally and working with the local community. And we're going to be interviewing Rebecca Oates. So I'm going to let you, Rebecca, introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about you and what you do and how you came to do what you do.
Perfect. Thank you. Thanks for having me. So my name is Rebecca Oates. I live here in Austin, Texas. I've been here for almost 9 years. And I came here and I just couldn't leave. I grew up in El Paso, Texas on the border where I learned about very spicy foods that I can handle. And I learned some Spanish there as well. And then I traveled east to Austin, Texas for the University of Texas at Austin. I was a student at the McCombs School of Business and studied marketing before social media was in the coursework for marketing. And ever since then, I've been working in Austin. My first job was with a company called Bearing Point Consulting. It was a worldwide consulting company, if you've heard of it or recognize it. And about 2 years into working there, they did not survive the economic stress, and our contract, which was the state website, was picked up by a different company, so we were acquired. So in the span of about 4.5 years after graduating from UT Austin, I learned a crash course in business and acquisitions in the corporate world. I learned a lot more beyond just what my immediate role was in marketing. And after we were acquired, or while we were being acquired, actually, I began a blog just for fun for a creative outlet. It's called therebeccamendations.com, and I write about entertaining in Austin, local music, shopping, art, restaurants, events, things of that nature. And the timing was really quite perfect because once we were acquired by our new company, I proposed that I would like to work in a social media capacity at the new company for the state website. And so I launched the first official social media strategy for the official state website, texas.gov. It was not easy, and government is a really challenging industry to practice social media in, but we did it, and I think we made really great strides. And while I was doing that, I was also having my fun, writing my fun blog in the evening and making connections, and it was actually helping me meet a lot of people in the community, including local business owners and lots of food bloggers. So I kind of had two lives, one at night where I was living kind of a fun life, getting invited to media events for new restaurant openings and meeting business owners and capturing their stories on my blog, and then going to work and working in social media with lots of restraints, but trying to bring creativity into it. And my run at texas.gov, I chose to end it last May 2011, and decided to go out on my own to start what is now Localize Austin. So I think the story here is interesting because my blog actually led me to what I'm doing professionally, whereas I think a lot of people in this space maybe write a blog because they work for a company, or they write a blog about their company. And my blog actually inspired me to do what I'm doing now.
This is wonderful because and I know for myself, I don't know how many other people out there don't really know how you can take a blog and turn it into a business. Especially when you're just starting. How do you create a connection? What do you do? Is the information even interesting? Who sees it? How do you get traffic to it? So can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Well, the first thing I would say is probably if you have a catchy name, which I was lucky to have. Actually, I owe all my credits to a friend, John, for the recommendations, but people started to remember it, and it also closely ties to my name. So when I would meet people, they would recognize the name first. So that was easy to make connections that way, but I had to also provide interesting content that was useful. The other thing that is a little bit different about how my blog ties to my business, and people frequently ask, oh, so you're doing the blog full-time? And my answer is actually I use the blog still as a springboard for my business. So the blog is where I still write the fun stuff. I still, when I come across a fun new restaurant or a new local music band or musician, I'll write about them, and hopefully I can meet them if I can when I'm having that experience, and then write about my experience on the blog, and then I have a new connection that may just help my networking, may become a new client. But I still write the blog. I keep it somewhat separate, although I have links on both back to the business website and blog and the fun blog. But for me, it's not about sponsorship or advertising. It's about making connections that then feed my services-based business. And I did try some advertising as well. I tried Google Ads, and I actually struggled with it because, for example, I have healthy entertaining in Austin was part of the tagline, and so I was getting ads about weight loss supplements and things of that nature that really I think are valued. Some people can really use that, but it wasn't consistent with what my brand and my messaging and my purpose was, and so I pulled them down immediately and decided to either, if I had ads, to have them be sponsored by local businesses here in Austin or not have ads at all. So for me, it was making sure I was staying really consistent with the messaging that I wanted, and it wasn't about advertising dollars.
So it sounds like your passion is a lot about not only writing, but also about food and entertainment and stuff to do around town. So is that something that you just enjoy doing, going out and eating, and then you decided to write about it, or did you discover your passion through writing?
I think I discovered my passion through writing. But when I started it, the very first post was really just I had I had baked a recipe and thought, well, hey, if I post the photos and then post the recipe, then I have something that's useful there for people. And then what would the theme be? Well, I think I really like to entertain. I like to entertain in my home. I like to be the hostess. So entertaining is the theme. I kind of just decided on a whim, but I didn't know where it would take me. And it morphed into becoming somewhat of a hostess of Austin, or I'd like to, think of myself as that way when people come visit. Not only do I like to welcome them, I say welcome to Austin, which during South by Southwest I heard was a very Austin-specific thing. You don't, go to New York and people often say, welcome to New York. But it's very Texas of us to do that. But I like to be that hostess and be able to say, welcome, but also, what do you like to do, and let me point you in that direction. And somehow it translates to business, where now I really like to be able to recommend things to businesses, whether it's a consulting client or whether it's a company that's coming into Austin and is looking for a new location or looking for strategies on how to align with this particular market. So, I haven't gone into specifics of what I do yet, but I think part of that is just being that host, that hostess. I like entertaining. I think it came from or was magnified through the blog and through writing a little bit, but I've always really liked to be that kind of warm welcome.
That's awesome. So tell us about what you do. Or that wave, yeah.
Hi, everyone, by the way. Thanks for joining. I see some new faces. So Localize Austin is a community-focused marketing consultancy. So we do marketing and social media strategy and management for small and local businesses, specifically in Austin, Texas. What makes us different is that our strategies are very customized to each client, which means we can't be working with tens of hundreds of companies at one time. Hopefully one day we will be able to scale to do so. But it's very customized. It's very crafted for each specific business and their particular goals. The other thing that differentiates us is I came up with somewhat of a, what's the word, kind of pillars, I guess, on what we're built on, and it's all about looking at your community around you, whether it's online, whether it's offline, in this case, maybe Austin as the city, and just picking up on cues, whether it's just watching what people do or what they wear or what they like to eat, those kinds of things, and infusing pieces of that culture into your business strategy. So you basically mirror that. It's not a new concept, it's just we present it in a different way. And so I use examples of like Whole Foods Market here in Austin. They have a bike repair station outside. So they've noticed that not only is Austin a very bicycle-friendly city, but their customers are rolling up on bicycles and they want to be able to help them, get to their restaurant or to the restaurant and the grocery store and to be able to leave safely. And so that's an added value, and they notice that by, taking a look at the culture. There are lots of things that we can look at and learn from our communities, and it can be replicated in any community, really. So as of right now, our relationships are basically here in Austin, but this idea can be replicated, and hopefully one day we'll be able to scale to other cities. And the strategies will be different because each audience has its own needs and its own culture. And so, you don't want to, like in certain cities, Twitter isn't a big tool, for example. So if you go in and recommend that a business use Twitter to reach out to their audience because it worked in Austin, it may not actually translate. So it's about research and about just being aware. And, it can be anything as simple as, say you're a cafe, just asking your customers when they come, and what are you up to this weekend? Finding out if they're mostly family-oriented, if they're going to the park, maybe you can offer picnic baskets. It's really just being aware and paying attention to your audience. And sometimes it's just as simple as asking them what they want or what they're looking for. So our 4 pillars that we look at with this community-focused approach to marketing consulting is how you experience the city, how you interact with the city, how you're impacted by it, and how you contribute to the city. So all those things have to do with, you contribute to the city by recycling, so you're reducing waste. How you interact with the city, what kinds of transportation do people use? In Austin now it's the car sharing is a big thing, as well as, there's a new service that's expanding to Austin called Park at My House, where you can rent out your driveway if you live in a high traffic area, and people can have easy parking. And so there are so many, transportation modes. So it's looking at how you interact with the city and really ultimately what your audience wants and what they need. And as a result, if you can offer that, you'll be more aligned with what they need, and you're offering a service that's needed, and you should be more successful.
It's actually very beautiful because what you're saying is engage, right? You're telling the business owners to engage with their customers, not only online, but in real life. Someone comes in and you actually sit down and talk to them and see why they came in. Exactly.
And so it does. It translates online as well. I find with small business it can be a little bit more difficult in the social media space. A lot of our clients are services-based businesses, and it's not, they're not as glamorous, they're not as flashy. They're services, where people are just actively sharing what they like about their lawyer or their realtor or their accountant. Or in some cases, they don't want to share that information publicly. And so how do you engage with that community? And it is harder, and you have to be creative on how to gather that information because it's not the kind of Facebook page, for example, or Google Plus page where you post something and you get 15 responses. It's you're pulling for just one more addition to your circle. And so you do have to get creative, and in our experience, combining social media with other strategies, really even offline strategies in those cases, can really have a higher impact overall.
And this is actually how we met. You organized a Google presentation for local businesses where you introduced Google Plus to local businesses. So tell me about how you started that relationship with Google. What were the idea about that they need to use Google Plus, and business owners will be interested in it? I think it was a few months ago, and it wasn't even that big of a deal before Southwest.
Sure, absolutely. The timing was great. My relationship started on LinkedIn, actually. I don't know if you're familiar, but there is a function of LinkedIn where you can opt to let people see if you look at their profile. And I noticed that someone had looked at my profile that worked for a company that I had interviewed with in the past. And so I reached out and just said, I noticed you came across my profile, and I've interviewed with your company before. I just introduced myself, and we started talking, and then we set up a meeting just to brainstorm some ideas, and then a few months later he ended up being hired to work for Google. And so we had worked together on a couple of other events as they were ramping up with the Austin community work. And we just started talking about how we could bring value to our audience of small businesses, and then Google Plus started becoming a priority. So one of our main goals with Localize Austin is just in general to help small businesses compete, because it came to my attention several months ago that, to be able to compete now, you have to have a fancy app, and you have to have, expensive websites and things like, or be able to pay someone to help you with SEO. All of these things that business owners don't necessarily have time to do on their own, or to learn on their own, or to do by themselves, or with a limited budget. They're not able to compete as well as, the bigger companies that are more successful, especially because they just have more dollars. And so that was kind of a moment for me where I thought, that's it. Small businesses have a hard time competing, and how can we help small businesses compete at a lower cost? And maybe there's, lower functionality in these glittery things that people notice and take a look at with your brand. But we'd like to offer that and help small businesses grow. And so some of the things that we do are trainings like the Google Plus for Small Business event that was a minimal cost, really. It was a morning event, and the Google office hosted it with us, which I was just honored that they would partner with, a small business provider. And so we've done Google Plus events. I've done a social media training for food producers here in Austin as well. And some other events too. So we're also open to any suggestions or topics that small businesses are interested in, that we could bring training to the businesses themselves, since they don't have the time frequently to go out and seek those resources. So.
Sounds like you're a one-person chamber of commerce.
Yes, we are, but there are so many resources, especially in this town, and wherever I saw there's someone from Colorado here, and I'm seeing people call in from different places, but it's really about tapping into the resources that you have in your city, and you'd be surprised probably what you can find. And if not, either create one or call me up, and we'll see if we can help create something on the ground wherever you are.
That's awesome. Let's talk about you a little bit. What's a typical day in the life of Rebecca Otis?
How funny. I'm amazed that anyone's listening. Well, my days are a little bit different than they used to be now that we're doing Localize Austin. But, I wake up and I immediately check the Twitterverse to see what's happening out there, because there's news and information, and people get up and start sharing, and I check my emails, and I have breakfast, which is always starts the day off right. And then I'm actually calling in from my co-working space right now. If you're not familiar, it's a shared co-working is a shared work environment, and I'm here on the east side of Austin. And so if the day goes as planned, then I come here and work before I go to lunch, or grab a quick lunch if I can. And I actually started scheduling meetings at 2 p.m. or later. I found that I kind of have a handle on my day prior to that time, and there are lots of meetings and lots of people to connect with, and to be connected with. And so to do that, to work on time management, which is something I'm really, really working on right now, is to schedule my meetings at 2 p.m., between 2 and 5 p.m. And then the evening time is either a networking event or exercise, or, or once in a while a glass of wine. And we'll see, some nights you're just working, and now I'm also trying to implement more breaks and balance, and kind of take a rest when the rest of, the professional world is also usually offline or not, focus working in the evening time. So it's kind of like when they say, when you're a new parent, sleep when the baby sleeps. It's kind of that thing, if you notice a couple emails, emails aren't rolling in as quickly, or it's that time of day, then I try to step away for a few minutes and do something I enjoy, or take a break.
It's funny because it's like starting your own business is having your own baby. It's a 24-hour, 7-day thing kind of thing. I keep
saying, if you don't feed it, it won't grow. So
exactly.
You have to work a lot.
So tell me about the most influential time, moment, or person in your life that got you to where you are today.
Wow. Well, there are so many influential people, and I'd say my family first and foremost. They've supported me through everything that I've been through. But most recently, in terms of bringing me to where I am professionally, I give a lot of credit. I hope she's listening. If not, I'll send it to her. But I worked with a business coach while I was working on transitioning between my previous position and where I am now. And I just recommend, whether it's a business coach or I heard a lot at South by Southwest Interactive this past week about mentors, but someone that can really help launch you forward or be a springboard for you. My business coach just happened to be a really great fit for me. So if you are interested in looking at working with a business coach to help develop an idea or help you grow a business or help shift direction professionally, that you really do some research and try to find one that's a good fit for you. And she just had a lot of relationships in this community, so it was a really great match, actually, and we still collaborate on ideas both ways, a two-way conversation now. But it really helped me lay out all of my options of where my entrepreneurial poll could take me, and actually the idea that I went in with about 6 to 8 months before I kind of walked out of the sessions, I kind of made a full circle, or not, I guess half circle. I went completely opposite of where I walked in from, and so I went from a consumer-facing idea to a business-facing idea, and it was just really influential, and I'm still amazed at that whole process and discovery, and really she helped kind of pull out just ideas and possibilities and strengths and weaknesses and relationships, and learn how to be resourceful. And so that discovery process was really, really influential in helping me be where I am now. So
that's very interesting. I've heard many times that a mentor is kind of like a board of directors for a company, and they can really take you, to places that you never even thought about. So it's wonderful that it happened to you. So give me your favorite quote.
My favorite quote, I heard this one actually when I traveled to Israel, where you're from, several years ago, and I heard it and I wrote it down and I kept it with me, and the quote is, and I will type it as well, but it's, if you change your perspective, you change your luck. And I thought it was a beautiful quote, but it had a lot of meaning, and I use it all the time when I'm thinking, even sometimes. For example, this is so simple, but if you forget your password for a website and you go in and type it 10 times and you realize it's still not working, well then if you take a step back, go look at your spreadsheet of passwords, or come back to the site, you'll realize, oh, maybe I was actually typing in the password for a different site, or you get on this track sometimes and you need to look at an experience or at a problem from a different perspective, and then then when you remember the password, it's not luck. I don't know if it's luck, but anyway, that's a silly little, technical example. But just in general, when you're looking at a business problem, or if you're trying to accomplish something, I find that if I look at it from a completely different angle sometimes, or run it by someone else, and they bring up a good point that I hadn't thought of, then all of a sudden there I am right on the right track again. So
I think that's also a great skill that comedians have. They're just looking at things from different angles, and humor comes out.
Exactly.
What do you think is the most crucial thing that you did to grow your business?
I wrote this down. I believe that it was just connecting with people, honestly. Just being open, just connecting with as many people as possible, looking for possibilities, looking for opportunities to partner up, to team up. It's just amazing, just opportunities that have arisen. In one particular, I was someone recommended that I meet one of their clients, just that they were here in Austin working with other businesses, and thought that we'd be a good fit to bounce ideas off of each other. And to be honest, when we met, their service and their product is very high end, and it doesn't fit my budget, and it doesn't fit the needs of my customers. And so we kind of got into this little gridlock where we didn't know where to take the conversation. And all of a sudden he said, well, I actually have had this idea for a really long time, and brought up this idea that was completely out of their scope, and it actually fit what I was doing exactly. And all of a sudden we started planning, and we just recently hosted an event that came out of it. And so I think just looking at people, every person is a different opportunity. Whether I keep saying, people wonder if you meet someone, is it just about meeting clients or meeting potential clients? And I say, well, anyone that I meet could be, a prospect for myself, or someone that can benefit my clients, or just, a new friend or networker that I can connect with someone else. So people are the reason why we're here today, and that's they've helped us get to where we are, but that's also what keeps us going, and we want to help the people behind these small businesses.
It's a good thing that you like people as well, right? There's some people in jobs that just don't like people.
Yes.
Tell me about the biggest mistake that you made and what you learned from it.
So that one's a hard one. And honestly, I haven't had one like crash and burn moment, really, knock on wood. Lucky. I think honestly one of the biggest mistakes I made just in the first, we've been in business for 8 months, is just not balancing correctly. And that's probably not a fun, glamorous answer, but really I hit the ground running the day after I left my previous position, and I knew what I had to do. I just had to go do it, and I honestly hadn't been on an airplane, in I think maybe 6 months. And I love to travel. It's actually what keeps me grounded, and I hadn't traveled at all, and finally I realized I need to take a break. And you when you're working on something that you're really passionate about and that you love, you could work around the clock, but to be able, now I know that you get run down, sometimes you get sick, you're also not working at your optimal level for your client work. And so taking breaks and seeking balance, and exercising, eating well, sleeping, making time for social, for yourself, not just social networking for your business, is really important. So that was a mistake that I just thought the more I work, the more success I'll have. And I think a lot of people, I've found myself thinking that multiple times, and then I find a way to try to infuse balance and add a few minutes here or there for myself, or for fun, even throughout the day or over the course of time, and it really pays off in business too. So.
I heard somewhere that someone said that when you die, there's still going to be stuff on your to-do list. So you'll never, it's never done. You should take a break and not stress about all these little things, and add some fun to your life. So it sounds like you definitely got that balance.
I'm working on it. It's a constant struggle.
What is the worst advice that you ever got?
Yeah, I thought about this question as well. It's hard to think back forever about advice. I think maybe I will just have to point to kind of the skeptics or the critics. There are always our critics. There are always skeptics about what you're doing. In my industry, I think a lot of it is around small business and their small budgets, and that it's not, it's hard to make it a viable business, which I'm still learning, and I'm still trying to be creative on how to do that. But my commitment is to help small businesses or businesses that are tapping into local communities. And so I think it's just that, but you just keep trying, and I don't know that it's advice, but I think it's people will make they give you their opinions and their comments, and you just have to take listen and take what you can and incorporate it, and if it doesn't apply, then kindly leave it on the table. But I think that's probably the biggest I guess, I don't know if it's advice, maybe counter advice, which is just. And I think that's why small businesses, there aren't very many providers in the marketing or social media space. I see a lot of social media companies that help small businesses, but there are very few that exclusively focus in that area. And I think that's probably why it is a little bit trickier, but I also believe that there's a huge need there. And so we're committed to finding a way to do that. And so I think it's just, versus bad business advice, more learning about the critics.
So if anyone takes your advice today and really enjoys your experience and thinks about being an entrepreneur, what are you going to tell them, aside from the baby that you have to feed every day?
Well, I have several. Kind of just tips that might be useful. And again, I don't know what the audience is like today, but this is pretty basic because small businesses they need easy to implement tips that are quick and not expensive. And so I wrote down a few tips that might be useful that I think can help with competitive advantage, and maybe you can implement them if you're not already. One of them is, and I'd like to know if anyone's chatting out there, if anyone is or is not using Google Alerts. Google Alerts are very simple. Again, this may be too simple for this audience, but it's kind of a no-brainer thing to set up, and you can have Google send emails to you about any particular topic that you choose or term. So not only can you monitor your own brand, and if people are saying things about you, that you can then go engage or thank them or respond, but you can also keep tabs on your competition. And I also just find that setting up Google Alerts for industry terms that we're interested in, and when I scan through them, then it's come in handy so many times with client meetings and just through networking, where I now I'm up to date on the latest news in certain industries, and it's great for conversation topics, and sometimes people haven't even heard because it hasn't made the news yet. So I think Google Alerts are just really, really useful. I know there are other tools out there that can notify you, but that's one that I use every day. And also it can provide great content to share across Google Plus and your other channels. The other one that I recommend to small businesses is first to make sure you have an email list, which may seem basic, but be surprised. You set up your business, or you set up you're developing your product, and then before you know it, it's there, and we need to go sell it, and we need to find a list to go sell it to. Not only do I recommend having an email contact list, but I also recommend segmenting it as much as you can. And if you can, set up ways for your audience to categorize themselves in their email sign-up form, for example, then you're set up and you're ready to go whenever you need to. You have a product that's not selling as well and you want to push it, or if you have a new service that's launching in a particular market, then you have an audience right there and you have a great direct way to reach them about that. So not only having an email list that is current and approved, they've opted in or they've interacted with you in some way, and then the second piece is that it's segmented, and I think those two things can really be a benefit to any business. It's just I bring up that question. If you needed to contact all of your customers today, could you do it? And I'm sure you could call them by phone, but email is just really efficient way to get messages out. Another tool that I use as a social media administrator is a tool called Boxcar, and I find it to be really useful. It notifies me if any of my clients' brands or any of my channels have incoming messages, tweets, Facebook posts. It even has a way to monitor your mobile app sales, which I think is just brilliant. I don't have an app to sell yet, but if I did, it could notify you every time you got mobile app sale. And so there are lots of tools that it interfaces with, and you can have the system notify you for, I think it's over like 25 things that it can notify you, and I use it on my phone all day.
What is it called?
It's called Boxcar, B-O-X-C-A-R.
B-O-X?
B-O-X-C-A-R. Boxcar.
Gotcha. Awesome tips.
Yes.
More?
I have 3 more.
Keep going.
Useful. And I'd love to hear questions too, if anyone. I'm not as much into one-sided conversation as I am into two-sided.
We're going to do that at the end. We're going to finish with the questions and open it up.
Perfect. Another tip that I mentioned before was just about, as a business owner, or really anyone, just scheduling meetings if you can strategically for time management. And I know some people who say they prefer to meet in the mornings. That's when they're on the ball and they just had their coffee, and that's when they want to meet. And for me, it's in the afternoon after I've gotten a handle on my emails and most of the main topics on Twitter and Facebook and Google Plus for the day. The other thing is just to be resourceful, and that's something that I've learned working with small business. You have to be creative, and you're often working with very small budgets. So one example that I would use is I work with an email management tool called Emma, E-M-M-A. Their website is myemma.com. And Emma has an amazing thing called an agency subscription service. Other email services may have similar option, but as someone who does work for several clients, it allows me to offer email management services to multiple clients, like an agency, instead of paying specifically for each account. And so now I can set up a login on my dashboard for my clients to come in, and they can do it themselves, or we can manage it for them. But not only is it easier, a one-stop shop, but it's also easier for me to manage it. It's easier to manage the invoicing, and it's also lowers the cost for everyone involved. And so that's one example, but when you're working with the tool for multiple clients or a broader audience, it's worth it to look into some research and ask the question, do you have any offerings for someone like me that's doing this service for many people? The good old economies of scale. So, the more you provide, the lower the cost is. And so that's something that I was lucky to find, and so now we're able to offer email marketing services at a reduced rate for all of our clients, so everybody wins. And the last one is just something that I've picked up recently along the way, and it takes a lot of skill and multitasking, and that is to always try to be one step ahead of yourself and have something in your back pocket. So always have in mind something that's coming up, whether it's a tweet on Thanksgiving Day or whether it's a new service or a product that I lost you for a minute. So a new service or a product that you can, bring out in summertime when people are on vacation or whatever that may be. Think seasonally and look ahead and see what you can kind of plan for the future, and always have something in your back pocket so that when certain things may change in the current state with clients or with your work. Are you there?
Yes. Keep going. Did we lose you? I think we lost Rebecca.
I think it's her connection.
Yeah. She's going to come back. This was such great tips. There we go.
Yeah, there she is.
Welcome back.
Did I lose you?
You did lose us, but now you're back.
I'm sorry. That's me. Anyway, that was it. Just have something in your back pocket. Always be thinking one step ahead. And I heard that as a theme at South by Southwest Interactive too, and I think it's a great tip. So.
What did you pick up from South by South Interactive regarding small business marketing?
There is a new term out there around small business marketing that it's a term, I guess, SOLO-MO, which is social, local, mobile. There have been lots of articles written about it. Someone created it, and then I think other people ran with it. But I went to a couple sessions on SOLO-MO, social, local, mobile, and it's all around the same idea of really marketing to your local community.
I don't know. She keeps dropping off in the most interesting parts. Rebecca? There we go.
Hi.
I'm saying you keep dropping off in the most interesting parts.
We're going to play a game when someone...
Now we're going to have 3. That's going to be very interesting.
You know what? She might have to go off and shut down her computer or shut down her Chrome or something, because I think there's probably something that's causing her to crash.
Maybe. Let's see.
Are you there?
We are.
We're going to play a game. Every time someone joins, I'm going to drop off, okay?
Drink one.
Anyway, so that's a theme, a new theme. And I did hear some really great words of wisdom about using search marketing and using the free Google keyword tool to search within your community and see what people are searching that's specific to where you are, so you can target specifically to that community and your audience. And I heard a lot just in general about happiness. There's some apps being created to post or tag or pin when you're happy and then share it. And there's a lot of, I don't know what it is, but there were a lot of talks about spreading happiness around South by Southwest. Anyway, but it's all right now. It's a lot about location and mobile. So we'll see what that becomes. But that's what I
really
heard.
Perfect to where your position and Localized Austin is positioned, because you're local.
Exactly.
Working with marketing. That's really great. So let me ask you a few more questions, and then tell me a little bit about Localized Austin. So something about you, what's the most rewarding time in your business?
Well, every time we are introduced to a potential client or we're referred by a client, that's right there when I feel the most proud, and that's the reward that we hope for. So anytime that happens, that's a great thing, and it proves that we're doing something right and that there's a need for what we do. So
that's business-wise. What's the happiest day of your life, in your life? The happiest moment?
I've had lots of happy moments. I'm very lucky.
If we're talking about spreading happiness, what's happiness for you?
There's lots of things bring me happiness, but at the core of it all is people, whether it's family, friends, clients that we're able to do successful work for. It's people. I think that's why I love to travel. You connect with new people and see old friends from past times, and so yeah, it's people.
So if you were not an entrepreneur who loves people, what would you be?
I wish that I could be a developer, a software developer, and a graphic designer. If I could do that, then I could do everything that I want to do and more. So.
And then no sleep and no red wine.
Exactly. In another life, that's a different profession. 2 different professions.
You already gave us a few good tips. Do you have any really good ninja trick that you would give entrepreneurs today?
I think those were kind of some of them. Yeah, I think those were them. Honestly, I'm using Google Plus to recommend to my small business clients as that ninja trick right now, because I think I'm not seeing a lot of small businesses, especially in Austin, that are using it yet, and I see a huge value for search engine optimization. I also see the future growing with Google Places and Google Plus feeding off of each other, and I don't think that no matter what happens with Google, if they add new features to Google Plus or if it transforms, because it's still in its early state, I still see there being a huge value for search engine optimization for small businesses to use it.
Completely agree with you on that one.
You have to.
Okay, so tell me about Localized Austin. What's happening in Austin? Where are you going? Where are you taking it?
Sure. Well, right now as we speak, I'm probably getting emails about it, but we're doing the social media strategy, social media management for Austin Restaurant Week. It happens twice a year, and we're doing the spring run in 2 weeks. So South by Southwest came at a very conflicting time, but that's in 2 weeks, and so people get to explore the culinary scene here with prefix menus at an affordable cost. Especially, it's useful for, if you want to try some of Austin's finest restaurants. And let me tell you, people love to talk about food on social media. We run gift card contests if you follow us on Facebook, and we get at least 25, 50. The other day we had 150 responses for these gift cards. So it's pretty amazing compared to some of our smaller business services-based channels. It's definitely in contrast a community that just loves to talk about that topic. And we are also helping to promote Rise Austin, which is it's a relationship and information series for entrepreneurs, and it is a week-long event like South by Southwest. Entrepreneurs can host sessions for free about whatever topic that they like related to their industry, and it's for entrepreneurs, and it's free for everyone. And this week it's also the end of March, the 26th through the 30th of March. And it's free, and it's all over Austin. There are 250 sessions and some amazing events planned. So we're very excited about those 2 initiatives going on at the moment. I lost you.
There you go.
Are you there?
Yes, we are.
All right, there you go. Also, we are excited that we're working with a really incredible new program that started in the UK, and they're bringing it to the Austin community. And it is called Give Autism a Chance, and it is to prove that autistic young adults can live a productive life and work in a variety of professional capacities. So a local cafe here in Austin is giving up the cafe for a day, and volunteers who are autistic and young adults will be serving the meals at the cafe and proving this to the community. And so we are excited to be doing their PR, and it's an incredible nonprofit program. So those are some exciting things happening currently. And our next up, just to give you a little sneak peek of what's happening, coming up soon we'll be offering mobile-friendly websites for small business. So they will be up to 4 pages at a very discounted cost, and each business can provide their own content for the 4 pages. It'll be their colors with their logo, and it will be a way that small businesses can compete, and their audiences can contact them more easily, and they can get more foot traffic and more web traffic through the mobile phone. We're finding that a lot of people are struggling to reach a business's website and then have to navigate or expand the screen. They cannot find the contact information and call them, or just get the address so that they can stop by, and so these small businesses may be losing business. So to help with that challenge, we are going to be offering mobile-friendly websites in a smaller capacity for small business in the next couple months. So
that is pretty cool, because during South by Southwest, Google was saying that I think almost half of the searches and video watching is actually
mobile.
It's actually done on mobile. I think
that's an amazing statistic. And you can put a video in this version of this, the small business mobile-friendly website. I actually have one on mine. If you go to localizeaustin.com on your mobile phone, you'll see our mobile site as an example of what it might look like. So we're excited to offer our very first product. So.
We're just having everything today.
Yes, we are.
It's awesome. I'm actually very glad that Google changed it and allow the initiators of the Hangout to join the on-air Hangout. Otherwise, so they were saying that mobile is becoming a very important factor, and like most people are watching videos on mobile. Half of the videos that are being watched are being done on mobile. So companies having a good mobile website on the phone is really important, especially for local, because usually you're looking for restaurants and local services when you're traveling around.
Exactly. That actually makes me want to go look up now how to optimize a video for mobile. So I'll have to look into that.
And send us a post about it.
Okay, you got it.
So I'm going to open it up. We have 10 more minutes. I'm going to open it up to questions. Everybody, you can unmute your mics if you want, and roll away.
I'm looking at the chat window as well.
And then I'm going to look if we have other questions out here.
Rebecca.
Yes.
Hi there.
Hi.
How do you feel about, small businesses? I've been involved with the local, the Hispanic Chamber and other events, trying to help them figure out and navigate the whole internet marketing, underworld. They're typically lost, intimidated, overwhelmed, and there's so much misinformation. I guess I'm answering my own question. Have you experienced that? Have you seen a lot of small businesses that are anxious? They're short on resources, yes, but they're also very anxious about making the wrong decisions.
I think so. There's just a lot of, when a small business, when we first sit down to talk, they've either heard something or seen something, and they'll start off with, well, I need a Twitter handle. And my question to them is, well, why? And I start to ask these questions, and one time I think someone asked something, and I said, well, do you want a Twitter stream or do you want more customers? And they said, well, I guess you're right, because they jump to tools before they jump to the purpose or the goal. And so I also think small business owners, and I can attest to it, you're busy working on your product and your business. Sorry, I'm getting some echo here. I'm waiting to see you again. Anyway, but they don't have enough time to research all these tools, and so they either see another business doing something or they hear something from a colleague, and so they don't always get all the information. And so that's where hopefully, if we can be introduced to them, or if you can be introduced to them, we can start to break down that conversation and start to ask questions about what their goals are, and then bring in tools later. But absolutely, I think small businesses don't always see the big picture, but that's because they're busy with their product or service. So
right.
What do you tell small business owners when they say, I just don't have time for social media? I want to do it, I don't have time.
Well, I say there are a few options. One, I say just start twice a day. That's it. Morning and night, if it has to be, twice during lunch, whatever, twice a day, just start somewhere. If that's too much or you can't, then someone like myself or Localize Austin, that's what we can provide to help them with. Or the third option is if they have someone else within their organization that is familiar with the tools, is interested in it, has a passion for social media, or is just capable of doing so. If someone internally, sometimes I've heard of small businesses that don't have the budget for it, which, by the way, doesn't have to be a big budget, but if they absolutely do not have anything to outsource it, that they have a family member help them do it. And so there's always a way, and I think that internal person is kind of midstream, but you also want to make sure that you're not taking them away from their main responsibilities.
I think Chris Long said that you should, that business owners, small business owners, shouldn't do social media themselves, but should find, like you said, someone in their family that they trust, like the hostess or someone good who's really people-friendly, and just let them do social media for them.
My feeling has been, and the reason I ask you, because you've been dealing, directly with them as clients, but my feeling has been that they're typically too busy to research it. They don't know the reliable source for the information, and if that's true, that just I think I'm thinking I want to help that way, because they seem to be just jump on it without any kind of plan or any kind of, like you said, yeah, I got a Twitter, yeah, I have a Facebook page, and I mean they're anything from best practices. I mean they may be using worst practices,
Yeah, I think it's just they do what they can, and to them that that's what they can do. That like they're if you're a restaurant, then serving your customers is the first thing, and then you think about the rest later. But I agree. I don't think it should always be that way. But small businesses, if you had a choice, you're going to focus on your product or service first. And you also wear multiple hats. We all do. And so I agree. It's that way. I don't know that could ever be changed, but I hope that, when you and I, people that do what we do, meet them, that we can help them kind of get them on a track where they feel like we're helping them. They're not as skeptical, and they can start to understand it a little bit better, or at least trust someone to do it for them if some business owners just really aren't interested in the tactical pieces of it. So, but yeah, I think it's a challenge, but we're here to help.
Hi, Raf. Any other questions out there? Guys, you good? Then I'm going to really thank you, Rebecca. Oh, one more. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think you hit on a key there, because it's one thing to talk about, getting a Twitter account or getting a Facebook page and all this type of stuff, but the more important question is, what are you going to do with that Twitter account, and what are you going to do with that Facebook page?
I'd just like to mention that I've been listening to this, and it sounds an awful lot like something a gentleman I know in the UK is doing, and something I've been talking with him about for about a month. And the idea is that Google has an entire range of things like the maps. You can, host your photos on Picasso and so on and so forth. 10 or different little accounts that you can set up. And one of the things that he's going to do and has started to do just in the last week or so is actually canvassing to the local businesses in his town, and he's in Oxford, and going up and talking to them. And what he's talking about doing is on the fly taking some pictures, registering them in Google on the map, getting them a Google page, all these things that you would do to interact well with Google, namely, and avoiding a lot of the other stuff. Another thing that, I've worked also with marketing in small businesses with a captive user portal, and this is just a way of sharing Wi-Fi, but allowing you to collect some information or confirm that the person is actually a client, lets them set up an account without having an internet service provider in your business. So I spend a lot of time doing this kind of thing. I think a lot of the people that are cautious about really getting involved and they don't want to spend hours doing this all the time, they're easy sells for web cameras, and I actually have set up about 30 of them, and they get hundreds of thousands of hits in a year, and they show up on all sorts of maps and things like that. It's not a big investment for the local business. It provides some interesting content for them. It doesn't require a whole lot of brains. A lot of the routers, you can just plug them in a webcam, and it's a good way to share something. It brings people to the website of the small business, even if they're not in the town. They'll get the idea, and they'll want to go to that little coffee shop or whatever because they've seen it online. So
video is definitely something that people in small businesses should pay attention to, and Google website YouTube is really making it easier. The equipment is becoming cheaper and cheaper, so definitely small businesses should jump on that. Hangouts is one way to do it. It's free, it's easy, and it connects you to your audience. If there aren't any other questions out there, this is a really good comments, guys. Thanks so much. If not, we're going to close it. I'll thank you so much, Rebecca, for coming. Great advice, wonderful advice. Everybody circle Rebecca and localize Austin.
Wait, hey, who's on Tuesday and who's on Thursday next week?
Next week, actually on Thursday, YouTube. There you go. Next week on Thursday, we are talking to Tim and
to who? Who?
Hold on a second. Let me mute you because I hear you twice. So next Thursday, we're talking to Kim and Steve from Australia, actually about relationships. So you should join us for that. And the Tech Talks, I think it's going to be another surprise for us on Tuesday. And we're going to send information about that. So thank you so much, and we'll see you guys next Tuesday. Thanks for joining.
Thank you everyone for calling in. It was great to meet you.
Thanks, Rebecca.